Hi and welcome to the channel. Today we are going to be tackling muscadines and scuppernong vines. As you can see, I've let mine go out for the spring. I do this every year. A lot of people will talk about doing their pruning when these plants are dormant. I, a few years back, stopped doing that, and here's the reason, and I'm sure there's some other people that have out there that have had this happen as well. I pruned back in a dormant time with these, and I pruned some areas hard that were good, and then other areas had actually died out. When I did that, it really affected the plant. And so I was talking to someone about these that has a lot of grapes down in the southern part of the state, and they said, no, there's 2 times that he prunes, and he has a lot of grapes. He said, there's 2 times that I prune. One of them is going to be in the spring. Once the leaves come out, I can assess my plants. I can make sure that there is not any disease. And if there is, I can take care of that immediately. And number 2, I prune in the middle of the summer. And I do that because I can go through and see where there are grapes and where there are not. So I'm going to be showing you guys how to do these today and how to prune for a nice spring cut. Now, I'm going to touch on something that I think is absolutely hilarious because a lot of people take things way too serious. Last year, we made some jellies and we took them to the market, and we put out on our Facebook page that we were going to have scuppernong jelly or muscadine jelly. And somebody had to come back and get all in a ferocious, actually, you're wrong, and scuppernongs are not muscadines. And so I want to clarify something to save somebody that might want to put something below. Number 1, I'm going to put a link below that's going to explain what I'm saying. Scuppernongs are a variety of muscadines. Okay, so they are muscadines. So you can have a scuppernong that is a muscadine. You cannot have a muscadine that is a scuppernong. Scuppernong, scuppernine, they're called 50 things in the Southeast. I'm going with scuppernong. So I want you all to understand that muscadines are purple, maybe a bluish hue if you let them sit out long enough, and scuppernongs are gold. Okay. Now, personally, I don't really see a huge difference in the taste when I'm eating them. I know a lot of people do. I don't. But I did want to clarify that because I know people are very serious about their grapes, and I don't want to be misquoted. But again, muscadines are red, purple, and scuppernongs are gold. I've got my muscadines over here. I've got 2 scuppernongs here. So I'm going to show you how to prune. Okay, so let's talk pruning. Here's one of the great things about letting them come out and grow. I did not prune them over the winter. Is you can see right here. Okay, I'm going to zoom in. Here's your grapes. Okay, and that's great, but you have a lot in here. I come in and I let these grow out too because I can throw these to the chickens, and that's a lot of feed for them, a fresh, good feed, or I'll give them to my sheep. But I'm going to come back in here and I'm going to find a spot, and I'm going to just cut a couple back. And mainly I'm doing this so that you can see how I'm doing this. Okay, let me get this done. And this is very simple. I was a little bit intimidated when I started doing this. A buddy of mine has got some grapes, and we were both cutting them down to that main leader and just doing that. And again, listening to some people that were very experienced in this, he came in and said, let me show you how to do it. Okay, let's go with this. Okay, I've pruned this back, and the first thing I want to show you all is you can look right here and see where this has been pruned before. Okay, I prune that back, I come in, and every other one, so here's one, I'm going to come in, I'm going to cut all of these little ones off. I'm going to come in, I'm going to cut. You see how this one is up? I'm actually going to come back and cut to this knuckle right here. I'm going to leave that. Then you can see this one right here. Excuse me for the camera. You can see this one is cut. And then this one is going to be cut all the way down. Okay? And with that being cut all the way down, that's going to allow for some spacing I'm going to come over here and I'm going to cut some more. So let me just keep going with this. You can see right here, I'm going to cut this all the way back. Over here, I'm going to cut all the way back. And then we're getting to this main piece. This main piece right here has got a lot of sprouts coming off of it. So I'm going to leave this piece, space, piece, space. I'm going to come in, I'm going to cut all of these off. This is just way too crowded, okay? And I'm going to come up to here on that. So we're going to have something come off of that. I'm going to get anything underneath. I'm not a big fan of these that grow underneath. And I'm just going to come in and leave some of these. One thing that you have to be very careful of is the wire. So you can see the wire looks exactly the same color as the vine. So be very careful of that so you don't cut it. Okay, so I showed you how you can prune all the way back to the actual main leader. I want to show you something else, and this is something that they actually have done out in Napa Valley, California. On some of the grape vineyards, they bring sheep in and they let them eat underneath to keep everything with the airflow. If you allow these to continually come up like this, if you've ever had grapes, you know that there's just a massive amount of weight and it pulls down and you can't get in, you can't get all your grapes. This is another reason why I do it in the spring, okay? So here is just one of your ones that I haven't pruned yet. You see the grapes right here? I'm trying to get in here and show you. There's some little grapes right there. There's some little grapes right there. And there's some up here. Come in here, I do my blackberries the same way. See those grapes? Can you guys, let's see, can you see those grapes right there? Come in and just prune right there, okay? You're gonna have a better group of grapes based on that than you are just letting them go crazy. Another one is right here. Here's another one. I'm just gonna come in, I'm gonna cut that. I've got grapes right here. This long vine, grapes, 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 grapes. And you're saying, don't get rid of all those grapevines. You're not gonna have a really thick cluster of grapes, in my experience, by just allowing vines to grow long and not be able to feed them. If you have an extremely long, it's the same thing with electricity. You know, every now and then you have to stop and you have to make changes. You can't run an electrical cord 6,000 feet and still have the same amount of power at the other end. With these, if you cut these back like this, instead of having 10 mediocre clusters, I'm gonna have now about 5 really strong clusters of grapes. And that's what I want, especially in harvest time. And my daughters, they definitely want to be able to come up and get big clusters of grapes, put them in the basket instead of spending a couple of hours up here constantly trying to do that. Now, let me tell you a safety thing. I've told you in a couple of my videos, my sister, my beloved sister, was bitten by a snake a couple of years ago in her garden, helping her husband, Kevin. One of the things that I want to point out is make sure when you're pruning in the spring, okay, that you are very careful because birds like to nest in these. I have seen a couple of snakes in these before. Nothing crazy. I'm not talking about like a cobra sitting in there waiting to bite me. But even a black snake or garden snake or anything is going to scare the hell out of a couple of people. Mainly my sister, as she should be. She's been bitten. So when you are pruning your grapes, just play with caution. Snakes will get in here. They'll try and get the little baby bird eggs when you're doing this. But I hope this is helping you guys. I'm going to continue to prune. I've got a lot to do, as you can see. We've got all of this down here. But one of the biggest things I try to teach on the channel is I know your grandparents and I know your parents have a way of doing stuff. But evolution makes things change. And you know, if you can come up with a better way and you can try things, why not? I would have never thought of doing this. And then I talked to a friend who's doing it. And the proof was in the pudding. If you don't want to do this, or you're scared that you've done it the same way for so long, just do one vine and just see what you think. I guarantee you, if you're fertilizing with some good compost and you're taking care of your grapes, you will have a larger, more robust group of grapes to harvest later in the summer. Questions, concerns, put them down below. Tell your friends about us. Give us a thumbs up. Have a great week. Thanks for watching.